पंचामृता के सारे प्रोडक्ट्स जो खाने में पौष्टिक तत्व की कमी को भर देते हैं। आई सर्टिफाइड, वेयर फूड इज फोर्टिफाइड।
Hello and welcome to Gazali. My name is Heather and my guest today is someone who has dressed Bollywood royalty, not in fabric per se, but in metal. Metal that is burnished, bold and unapologetically imperfect. Now, it's not the kind of jewelry you buy off a shelf, but they are pieces that are born from memory and shaped by hand. They've been worn by Shah Rukh Khan in Pathan and styled on the red carpet and off it by Akshay Kumar, Karan Johar, Tabu, Lara Datta, Anil Kapoor and Tiger Shroff. From what I've heard, even Oscar-winning producer Guneet Mogha is a fan. Today on Gazali, I'm thrilled to be able to sit down with Himani Mantri Grover, the founder of Chicory Chai and the creative force behind these iconic celebrity looks. Now Himani's in Goa because she's one of the 3 panelists for What Are My Choices, which is a career guidance session that's being organized by People's Education Trust in Mala. Himani, thank you so much for giving us your time and for joining us here today.
Absolutely my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Could you tell us something about Chicory Chai?
So Chicory Chai is a brand that focuses primarily on the Indian craftsmanship. So having worked for all these brands, it was always a desire to come back to India and make the most of, craftsmanship, because back there I saw people being so proud of made in Italy, and then I realized that, as what they talk about design, we have been talking about that for centuries, and we still take it so much for granted. So it was about really owning up that tradition, owning up the craftsmanship that we gave actually to the world, and creating a brand out of it.
So back to your roots essentially.
Back to my roots, yes.
Now your heirloom and bespoke pieces that you create, they're beautiful, and I read somewhere that you said that it's a way of guarding a legacy.
It is.
It is. Can you tell us what you mean by when you say that you're guarding a legacy?
Most of the times what happens is, we look at jewelry through gold and diamonds and precious stones, and there is no story to it besides the fact that it was procured for somewhere and somebody put it together for you, and then it comes down as an heirloom. Yes, there is that story of who it came from. But sometimes an heirloom piece needs to be much more than that, and that is where Chicory Chai comes into the picture, because what we do is really talk about you, your family, your background, and things that matter to you personally, not because somebody else is talking about them, but because they mean something to you. So they are, pieces that are created from your memories, from your favorite things, from favorite places and people, and it's about really owning up that individuality that you can express through jewelry.
But how would a story become a piece of art? Could you walk us through the process?
Well, so what happens is when I'm discussing with my client, we usually talk about all the things that matter to her. So it usually, the process is directed by the person who wants to commission that piece. So you get around understanding the person, you understand her story, understand what she wants to focus on. There are women who want to just focus on herself. I mean, which is great, because she wants to celebrate her achievements, she wants to celebrate her life, she wants to celebrate her journey. And then you were talking about the milestones, those milestones could be through her travels, through the books she read, the music she hears or listens to, or the people in her life that she wants to really highlight. So all these elements come together and they are translated as metaphors through charms, and those charms ideally, essentially, when they come together, complete the entire story of that person.
Oh wow, so it's a full circle.
It's a full circle.
Himani, your jewelry intentionally leaves behind, solder marks, dents, raw edges. Now, in a world that aims to hide flaws, whether it is, through airbrushing or through our Instagram filters, you refuse to hide the journey. Was it a decision that you took very intentionally, and why would you do something like that?
Absolutely. So I think it started with being a little rebellious towards the world that puts so much importance on perfection. So that was one aspect. But I think handmade or handcrafted as a word has been
Abused.
Yes, for lack of any better word, it's absolutely abused. And what happens is the common man is unable to make a difference between what is really handcrafted and what is not handcrafted. And I think when we are working 100% handcrafted is what we claim to be, and which is what we are. When you do that, a handcrafted process will always have certain certain marks as a outcome of that process. It's a very natural outcome of that process.
The marks
and
of
when you
making,
hide
call
them, there's no way of knowing whether it's a handmade piece or not. And that is exactly the reason why it was a very conscious decision that I took absolutely early on, that it's not going to be gold plated, so to say, not covering up those marks, but those marks will actually add value to the piece. Well, yes, beauty, which I had to really educate people on for the longest time, but for sure, that authenticity and the marks that proved that it is a handcrafted piece, because the solder marks, or the edges, or certain unfinished look. So it will not rub on your skin. It will not cause harm to your skin. But at the same time, visually you know that this piece is handcrafted, because here are these different elements which are put together, which have been completely hand done.
So the marks of making, I think you've called them. You can actually see
Yes.
the journey in the piece.
Absolutely. So from being a piece of metal as a sheet to a piece of jewelry, you can actually follow those steps through the
steps.
piece. Yeah.
Now, actually, something that you said, and that's my next question, in fact, you promote things that are the jewelry that is not, say, perfect per se. Has that been commercially challenging, say, with, clients, or even commercially as a brand?
Like I said, initially it was, because 12 years back, first of all, there were very few brands who were brands which were doing non-precious jewelry, and nobody wanted to really pay anything for a piece of brass, finally, which it was, because I think it also comes from the fact that we take handcrafted too much for granted. Like it's available for us on every corner of the city or village that we live in, and because our culture is about handcrafted.
Today, that imperfection has become your signature.
It has, yes.
Have you ever had a piece that has challenged you emotionally and creatively? One that has stayed with you even after it has left the studio?
Yes, it was a very, very intense process for me, because a lady got in touch, and she was very hesitant initially, but then after 4 sessions she opened up about a sexual abuse, and how she had overcome that, and she wanted me to create a piece celebrating her wins, and her entire journey, and how she had really blossomed after that. And that was a very, very difficult in terms of to be able to translate her emotions into a piece of jewelry was extremely challenging, because it was more of a, it was definitely a kind of pressure that I experienced, because that is not an area that you want to take lightly, and that is not a journey that you want to really not give its due. So yeah, it was one of the pieces that
Pretty
definitely
intense.
left a mark. Yes.
You work with antique, even broken jewelry, and pieces that others may discard, and you give them new life. What does it mean to you to take something that's antique, something that's old, and make it beautiful again?
I think that is the kind of person that I am. I keep going back to these old things. It's very difficult for me to discard or see them discarded so easily, especially things that carry memory, nostalgia. I thrive on it. So, and that's what gets translated into that piece of jewelry.
Is your coin collection part of this antique restoration?
Initially, yes, I started doing coin jewelry with the heap of coins that my grandmother had collected. So definitely the credit goes to her for initiating that collection. But eventually now I work with numismatics, and they are the ones who procure all the antique coins for us.
For you, okay. Now you said that your coin collection started with coins that were collected by your grandmother. Now back in 2015, you cast an 80-year-old grandmother as not just as a model for your brand, but as the face of your brand. With all her wrinkles and her silver hair. Now that's not something that we often see in an industry that's obsessed with beauty. You broke the norm. What inspired that decision?
I think again, going back to being a little quite rebellious, because I did not want to follow the norms of perfectionism, and that is the reason why I did not want to go in with a regular model. Even till date, I don't have a model per se who models for me, because those are not the kind of people that will ever buy my piece. So I work with real people who actually also have a certain story to tell. So when you cast an 80-year-old or 82-year-old as a model, her entire face tells you her life story.
Her life experience, yes.
Exactly. She has lived a life. She has been through that entire journey on her own terms, and she has an aura that will put most of the Gen
Plastic,
Zs
so to say.
to shame, because she is a rock star.
Okay.
So I couldn't resist. No, I mean, not having her would have been a blasphemy of sorts.
That's wonderful. You also speak a lot about conscious consumerism. What advice would you give to buyers today? People who want to make meaningful, ethical choices in what they wear, in what they own.
I think just make yourself more aware. There is a lot of choice. There are a lot of people who are doing some great work, whether it's furniture, whether it's even construction. You're talking about fashion for sure. Yes, there's a limited choice, but the choice by itself, if you really go out and look for it, and take a pause and understand what is it that really connects with you, I think you've answered your own dilemma of whether you want to go with fast fashion or make that conscious decision about.
Do you have any advice for young designers? I mean, I know you're going to be speaking about it tomorrow at the session, but anything that you would like to say to our viewers, for designers who want to create from the heart, but they're perhaps feeling a pressure to conform to trends. Now, you've been breaking the norms, you've been breaking the glass ceiling, so to speak, in so many different aspects. Is there anything that you would like to tell our viewers?
Well, one thing for sure is that design is not art. So no matter what you create, you cannot just be doing it for yourself. So one has to differentiate between art and design. Design is commercial by definition. Okay, so that angle one has to always keep in mind. And then you really try to find your niche. You try to understand what really works with that niche. You try to understand your customer really well, and you try to find your own unique style, which is very important. And that unique style doesn't come overnight. You have to work towards it.
Now, I think you've just answered my next question. My next question would have been, you run a very niche, very conscious handmade brand, and what has been your biggest learning in the last 13 years in this journey?
Yeah, I think changing with time, and really being that flexible, not really sitting on the laurels, and moving forward with the change, and just keeping yourself on the roll.
Now, you're a mother and you're an entrepreneur, and we all know how crazy it can get. And you've spoken a lot of time, you've spoken many times about, there are no fixed hours, there are no boundaries between work at home. How do you balance the creativity with the chaos?
There is no balance. I think balance is a myth.
Don't look for balance.
Yeah, because there can't be. What are you trying to balance? It's a normal day in every normal person's life, and the more you try to balance, the more imbalance you create, because then you're going against the flow. I think what I learned to do over time is just go with the flow, with each day being little different, little same. So
one day at a time.
Not really one day at a time, but you really find your way around.
Find
so there's
your own
no
rhythm,
friction.
I think.
Yeah,
That's
there's no
say.
friction as such. Yeah.
What's the first piece that you ever created? Do you still have it?
First pieces were, so it really started with experimentation a lot. So there was never a complete piece per se, because we were trying different finishes, different textures, different ways of working with brass, how to age it, how to clean it, so it was all full of experimentation. And then I think we jumped to the coin collection.
Okay.
So the coin pieces are, I think, one of the oldest ones so far, but I can't put my finger on which came first. No.
What's more difficult, starting a piece or finishing it?
Starting it.
For sure.
For sure, yes.
What has been, something that a client has told you, anything that has remained with you? Anything about your jewelry, or about the emotions that it evoked for them?
So very recently I had, a client from London connect with me after she received her order, and she called and she was howling, because it really scared me for a moment. And then it so happened that she was so happy about the piece, and she was so full of emotions.
Howls of happiness.
Howls of happiness. But it took my, like I almost skipped a beat. But yeah, I mean, that howling haunts me in a good way.
So it's not something you did wrong, it's something you did right.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, but then till the time you hear it from these people, because again, we are doing it for them. But when they get that emotion, when they get the craftsmanship, they understand, the extent to which we really go to make their piece perfect and memorable and precious for them, because that preciousness is coming from what we are putting in, our energy, our effort, our emotions, every craftsman that, works on it. So it's such a combined effort. So the value actually is not about, the raw material at all. It is about, those...
all the hands that have touched it.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing that people get wrong about handmade.
I think it's not about them getting wrong. It's about lack of awareness. So, we are not exposed to the processes, and because of which, everything that is labeled as handmade is taken as handmade.
Just like our organic.
Organic, yeah, yes. Yeah.
Okay. If you weren't designing jewelry, what would you be doing?
Chef.
Oh, is it?
Yes, I would be a chef.
Really?
Yeah.
You love to cook?
I love to cook.
That's beautiful. Any new collections that we can look forward to?
Yes, around Diwali time.
Okay.
They'll be out soon.
You're not telling us anything.
No.
But knowing you, Himani, I think it'll be, full of meaning, collections that have a story, that evoke emotion, and unapologetically imperfect.
I hope so.
Himani, one last question before we close up. Now, we were lucky to catch up with you. You're here in Goa for the career guidance session that is happening at being organized by the People's Education Trust. Is there anything that you would like to tell our viewers about it?
I think it's such a wonderful initiative by the People's High School, to be able to give that kind of exposure to children at such an early age where, they are at a stage where they've started to make a decision. And to be able to have, these options, to know what possibilities are awaiting them in the new world, I think it's phenomenal. I'm so honored to be here.
As opposed to, we have our doctors and engineers. So kids knowing that you have, the world is full of options, I think is very important.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that whole doctor-engineer thing is changing, for sure.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Himani, thank you so much for your time and for joining us here today.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
In a world chasing perfection, Himani Mantri Grover reminds us that beauty lives in the raw edge, in the marks of time, and in the stories we carry. Her journey is proof that you can honor your roots while shaping your future. To everyone watching, may you all wear your stories proudly, imperfectly, and fearlessly, just like Himani and her beautiful pieces of jewelry. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm Heather, you're watching Prudent Media, and I'll see you next time.